Miss Allison here again for another lesson. We are on lesson number 3. And today we are going to do pop-up cards. Have you ever seen pop-up cards? They are really fun. You open them and an image pops up in front of you. So some of them can be very intricate, but I have a nice, easy one for you to try. So it's effective, it's easy, and it's fun. So it's like a pop-up book or a pop-up card. So this is an example of one. It's not exactly what we will be doing, but you can see how it's a card. We will have a cover on top of ours, but this opens up and you can see, if I have it in an angle here, you can see this image pops up. Okay, so this one has a boat. Our theme today is going to be buildings, architecture. So architecture with historical buildings of New Bedford, okay? So we're doing historical buildings. Now, usually in this program, right, Exploring My City Through Art, and it's all about New Bedford, we go to many different places in the downtown area, right, so that we could learn more about New Bedford. And in those beautiful, we can see on our walks to these field trips, we see all these beautiful historical buildings and homes. So I want you to think about some of the buildings that we see there. I'm going to give you a list at the end of this one, and then we'll continue it later. But for now, let's start with the basics, okay? So the basics, we're going to start with the background. Very similar to what we did in Project 1 and 2, we worked on backgrounds, and then we built on top of that, okay? So let's take it piece by piece, and this part 1, will be the background of our pop-up books, okay? Good, so let's begin. You can see this was the one I had, and it popped right out, okay? So we're gonna start off with paper. Now what I did, the examples I did, I used one sheet of a large sheet of paper, and I folded it in half and tore it, or cut it. So this was half, and now I'm going to use that as mine. So the examples I have are of this size, okay? I was also told that you should be getting a packet or a kit, an art kit, and your art kit might have a sketch sheet in it that's this size. It's square 9 by 9. So you can use whatever size you have. Just remember that you're going to fold it in half. So if it's like this, I would still fold it in half. I wouldn't cut it at all. I would just let that be the whole thing. So you're going to nicely crease the half, and this is how your card. So if you do have a 9 by 9 square, this will be your card. Your card will be lengthways like that, which is nice. You have more space to put some of your pop-ups, okay? This is the one I had. I had this size, so I folded this one, and then it became, this would be the size of my pop-up card. See? Good. So depending, you decide, whatever sheet of paper you have, you're going to fold it in half, crease it nicely, crease it, and then it opens like a card. So that's the first thing you're going to do, okay? Then we're going to do our backgrounds. We are going to do, we want to think as the top of the card is going to be like the sky, and the bottom would be the earth. Okay, so let's think about what type of sky we want and what type of bottom we want, okay? So you can think of blue skies, you can think of sunset skies, we did that before, you can think of green grass, etc., etc. But you want to think about what you want to do. In this exercise, I want to explore pastels, and I was told that in your kit, you will be having oil pastels. I love oil pastels. Now you can use crayons as well, but oil pastels just give such a vibrancy look, okay? The colors are nice and bright and bold. So we like to use things like that. I want to show you that I also did some with paint, okay? So we have the sky and the earth. and we grade from dark to light. We grade from dark to light. And you learned about grading when we did our silhouette paintings, right? So you can paint as well, but I haven't done oil pastels yet. So for this exercise, I would like you to try the oil pastels. And remember, you can do more than one. So you can try different materials. So let's go with the oil pastels. I did an example of one with oil pastels. Look at that. Okay, so the top was a sky, and I graded, just like how we graded with paint, but I graded with the oil pastels. And we have blue, dark blue. We went on to lighter blue, very light, and really light, okay? Usually in the sky, you would see it like that, closer to the horizon line, which is the line that separates the sky from the earth or the sky from the sea. It seems to get lighter during the day. Okay, so I'm gonna show you that. And then at the bottom was the same thing in oil pastels, but in greens, darker to lighter. Okay? All right, let's put this here. So I'm gonna give you an example of that so you will see how you can use these pastels. So since I did the blue sky and green, I'm gonna leave it here so you can see. Move these so we don't get confused. Good. Since we did the blue and we did the green, I'm gonna do one with sunsets. You already did sunsets before, but you did it with paint. You did it with acrylic paint. I'm gonna use pastels. These are my pastels. The thing with pastels, I like to use them. You can use them in many different ways. Sometimes I like to pull the paper off. Sometimes I break it so that I can use it in many different ways. Sometimes I use the side of it and it gives you a nice textured effect, or I use the tip and I go really dark, okay? So the trick about this, when I use these, I don't smudge it with my fingers, but I use one color on top the other, and that's what creates that blend. Okay, so we knew when we were doing sunsets, we want to start, so I'm going to start dark. Look at this. You see how dark you can get with pastels, where you don't see any of the white. You press hard on it and it's smooth. Now if you want to get lighter with this, you can go on the side. Look, I'm using the side of the tool. I like to call a lot of artists, when they're using certain materials, they call it the tool. Like the pencil would be your tool, or the paintbrush. And in this case, it would be our oil pastel is my tool. When I go on the side like that, do you realize what happens? It shows some of the white. And it kind of gives me a grade right away, okay? And it gives a lovely texture too. So you can go right on it where you don't see any of the white, and then you can grade it down. I'm gonna go in with my orange, because I don't want to put too much of the red. But you remember, I'm overlapping. I go back in with my, now I'm going heavy with it, because I want to see like a brilliancy, a brilliant. Okay, up to you how much of the white you want to see below. See how I'm getting lighter? By just going on the side and pressing less. I'm not pressing as hard. Okay, similar. Here I allowed some of the white to come through. So I'm going over hard, over the red. So the red and the orange mix so nicely. Look at that. And I go back down. Okay, time for yellow. Well, I have almost like an orangey yellow. And then I'll do a plain yellow. Okay. See? And I'm going over here. I'm going to overlap where I had the orange. Look at this. Always overlap. So this one is vibrant sunset color. You decide if you want to do blue skies. You decide if you want to do sunset sky. You decide whatever. Whatever effect you want. You seeing that? Look at that. That's lovely. And then I can just do, look at that. As I go lighter, I see the white coming through, the white of the paper. And you can leave that or you can go in. I have a pure yellow here. The other one was almost like an orangey yellow. And I go back in, over and come down. Pure yellow. Right? You could also use a little bit of white and you can go right at the end. Oh, my white had another color on it, you see? You have to be careful with that. Had some green. And if I go with the white, look at what happens. It just kind of lightens it up and smooths it out. So there's my sunset background. Seeing that? Oil pastels, love it. This one, I allowed the white to come through a lot. It has a nice textural effect. The top, I went over with dark blue and a lighter blue, you know, heavy. This one I did much heavier. But look at the vibrancy of the colors. So you can do the same thing with crayons, but you are not gonna get as vibrant a color as pastels. And I was told that you would be getting pastels, so that's fun. I also remember Miss Deb gave you guys gifts of an art set, and I believe it had pastels in it. So hopefully most of you should have pastels that you can use, but I know all of you have crayons, right? Okay, so even though I did sunset sky, I do not have to do my front dark. I can still go in with the greens in front, okay? So I'm gonna go a variation of green, just like I did here. These are yours. You can be as creative as you want. See? So this green is kind of like a bluish green. I like this. So I'm gonna start off dark again. And this is on the second half. Follow that edge, the second half. See where it falls? So this will be my land. You decide what your land, the color of the land will be. Okay? And then I have a green here. This looks kind of like a grass green. You seeing the difference of this green? And we're gonna blend it. So when we blend it, we just overlap. We overlap a bit. For me, oil pastels, they're so effective when you overlap one color on the other. Especially a lighter color over a darker color gives you a really beautiful effect. And then again, if you press lightly, you can get the white of the paper and get some beautiful effects as well. Now I have a light green, a lighter green here. Look at this. And I can go right over. I like to take the lighter colors and go over the darker colors, and then you get a really beautiful mix and blends of colors. Even this, when I go over the bluish green, we see what happens here. And I may not want to go heavy all the way down, so I just use the side of the tool and just go over. See, the side of the tool, you can go a little heavy, but you still see the white. You don't have to press as hard as the top. So practice that. This is a good technique to use to practice, to blend colors heavily one on top of the other, or lightly use the side of the tool and get some of the white coming through, white of the paper coming through. As you can see, we did our backgrounds. So look at this background, look at this background. So now we have our background where we can put our pop-up building architecture on top of that, okay? So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay, hello again. I have to get used to looking that way so you can see me. Okay, so we have this, okay? These are our backgrounds. You notice how I stand it up like this, because we'll have our pop-up coming out from here. And in the next part, I will show you how to do that. So we have them standing up like this. We have our background. Now remember, I went dark to light. You can go light to dark. Or you can go in and out, in and out, in and out. You can do other colors on top of that, whereas clouds or other things are coming in between, you know. You know, like if, you know, streaks of color, etc. Explore with it, all right? So you have your backgrounds all ready to go. Let me show you the other backgrounds that I did, because you might do more than one. And these are with acrylic paint, all right? Just like how we did a lot of light. Okay, just like how we did the sunset paintings, and we graded from dark to light, okay? Same thing we did here, just in blues, dark, straight down, okay? And I put little clouds with your paintbrush. Same thing with the green, dark green, lighter, 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 with the paint, acrylic paint. So this one is acrylic paint. This is also acrylic paint. Different colors of the sky. So this is our card. Open it up. Look at these colors. Okay, and then greens, and then I did brown, you know, figure it out, because in my house here it could be, but you can change it up. It doesn't have to be all green. It could be concrete, it could be, you know, we will see when we lay it on what other things you might want to add to it. Okay, so this was just showing you that you can do the background with acrylic paint. You can also do it with watercolor. If the paper is strong enough, you can do the watercolor. Now remember, I showed you last lesson how if you don't have watercolor, you can use acrylic paint and thin it down to a wash. You can even use the techniques I used with the salt. You have lots of techniques to use. So I'm showing you the options, but this week, I would like you to try the pastels, because we haven't done the pastels before. And this will be a nice way of introducing them, okay? Good. So before I go, I want to give you a little homework for the next part, part 2. You want to choose what historical building you may want to draw and use as the pop-up, okay? Now I'm going to read a few, and you can look them up. You can Google them and see pictures. You can print out the picture. I will allow you to cut it out, color it in, and you can use that. Or you can try and draw it yourself. I know sometimes architecture is a little difficult, and we're not there one-on-one, so I can walk you through it. So, but I would allow, if you get an image, you can cut that out, okay? So let's think of some of the historical buildings that we see when we're walking on our field trips. Even just down, usually walk down William Street, we see a lot. As we come out of the building, the beautiful City Hall in front of us, okay? Remember, building of the museum. Even the museum's building, we'll have to go across and look. It's a beautiful building. Across from the museum is also the library, the New Bedford Free Public Library, okay? So I have a list here that you can do. The New Bedford Free Public Library, City Hall. You can write these down, and then you can Google them, research them. I will also send images of them that you can use, okay? But if you're waiting on that, then you can just Google them and print them out if you can. Custom House Square, not Custom House Square, Custom House, which is on Custom House Square, right? The Nathan and Polly Johnson House. Now, we weren't able to go and visit there to see it, but that was Frederick Douglass's first free home, and it's a beautiful historic house, okay? And we usually take a trip to see it, and we talk with the rangers all about the Underground Railroad, etc. So that's a beautiful house. The New Bedford Whaling Historic National Park. We always have to do this over and over every time because it's a long word, right? So we go there. We have been there a couple of times for our field trips, and that's a beautiful historical building as well. So you can look it up and see. The New Bedford Whaling Museum, we've been there many times. You can use part of the building or all. And the Seaman's Bethel and Johnny Cake Hill. Yes, Johnny Cake Hill. And that's another gorgeous building, okay, of a church structure. And then, so I want you to choose which one you would like to do. Which one? Maybe you might want to do two, I don't know. But choose one. I think you should focus on one, and then we can do pop-ups of other things like a tree, etc. So here's some images that I have. Oh, the double bank. This is an image I have of the double bank. Now you may not think you know it, but when we walk down William Street and it comes to an end, right just after the Whaling Museum is this beautiful building. I know you all know this building. Okay? The Custom House building I told you about, look at this one. How gorgeous is that? Okay? So you can look for it and then you can cut them out. You can print it and cut it out, and I'll show you what to do in the next. Or you can draw it. So I drew this one. This is the double bank, and I drew it with black pen just so that you can see. Okay, so try it if you want to try to draw it. Oh, excellent. If not, you can print it out and use it, okay? And then I will tell you how we are going to use, oh, this one is the Nathan and Polly Johnson house, which is Frederick Douglass's first free home. And this is one of my drawings or paintings, a copy of it that I cut out. Okay, so we're doing historical homes, and we're going to make pop-up cards with our with paper. Well, we already have the background done. Again, background is very important, and then we work on top of that. Okay, so piece by piece, have fun with this, and I will see you part 2. Bye-bye.